Hello there. Thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog. I'm Pete Howard, and that's my hobby website, of course. And this is one of the best posters in rock and roll history. It is a tour blank. It was used for like 3 months, but this is known as the biggest show of stars, fall 1957. You can see a lot of wording on there that says Super Attractions Presents and all that, but I even notated as BSOS for short, biggest show of stars, like the whole series actually. Biggest Show of Stars series ran from like 56 into the mid-60s, but this is just such a classic poster, total Hall of Fame piece, unbelievable. Cardboard, you know, original boxing style window card poster. Obviously this one's got a bit of water damage and stuff, but let's start. This is from Topeka, Kansas, and again it was a tour blank, so it was used for many cities. I've seen this poster probably from, I don't know, 15 different cities. Different months. This happens to be early November, but into December and back to October and so forth. But it's just a fantastic rock and roll history boxing style concert poster. To wit, the top 3 rows of artists are all members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. and the bottom row of 3 more aren't shabby either. They're hit makers too. So 9 out of 12 members. 9 out of 12 performing artists on this tour are members now of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That just makes it so special right there. But you had to really pay to see them, right? Yeah, $2. 12 acts for $2. That's just so incredible. So let's look at the Hall of Famers real quick. Obviously there's Fats Domino, Laverne Baker, R&B Queen, and Frankie Lyman after breaking away from the teenagers. Then you've got Chuck Berry. Needs no introduction. Clyde Mcphatter, formerly of the Drifters and on his own, right there, dead center in the poster. Nice positioning, Clyde. And then interestingly, you've got just the Crickets. There's no mention of Buddy Holly, but Buddy is there with his, move it in a little bit closer, wearing not horn-rim glasses. He's under the second C in Crickets. Not horn-rim glasses, but just regular eyeglasses right then. It was not Buddy Holly and the Crickets yet, because the record plugged as That'll Be the Day, and that was released as just the Crickets. And then underneath that you've got Eddie Cochran, a good year before Summertime Blues, so he's sort of downbilled there, but still you see his face. And the Everly Brothers need no introduction, Bye Bye Love being a monster earlier in the year. And the Drifters also needing no introduction. And then the bottom row, Buddy Knox with underneath Jimmy Bowen, I'll give you a little more in a minute, the Diamonds, and Paul Anka. And then we shouldn't forget, of course, Paul Williams and his big orchestra. But so the top 3 rows, members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then you get, in fact, I had mentioned the Drifters. This was between, maybe I should talk while I'm showing them, although interestingly, the Drifters get very short shrift. There's no photo of them, and no songs mentioned either, just their name. But this was between famous lead singers, and therefore between pop hits. They had had Clyde Mcphatter up till 55, 2 years earlier, and the year after this, in 59, Ben E. King, Mr. Stand By Me, would join the Drifters, and they'd have all kinds of hits going into the 60s, like Up on the Roof and everything, but this was sort of an in-between period for the Drifters. And then you've got the Diamonds there. It says Zip Zip, which is sort of a shame, because Little Darlin' was number 2. Well, Little Darlin', of course, is an institution in rock and roll history in the 50s, and it was the number 2 record for like 2 months earlier in 57, so they could have put Little Darlin' on there. Would have been a number 1 record for 2 months, except for Elvis Presley's All Shook Up. But as usual, sometimes they just choose to plug the new single instead of brag about the old one, so we have Zip Zip on there. And by the way, I'll dispel a rumor right now. Take a look at the Diamonds. One of those men is not the father of Tom Hanks. That was an internet rumor that went around, and no, Tom Hanks' dad was not the lead singer of the Diamonds on Little Darlin'. That was just, you know, rumors spread in the internet age, that's for sure. And there you got Paul Anka down at the bottom with Diana. He, at the time, interestingly, he was America's youngest ever self-made millionaire, because he wrote, produced, and performed Diana at age, I'm not sure at what age, but how about this? He's 16 years old in that picture. And Diana had been number 1 on a smash hit. So he's 16 there. He wrote the song about his babysitter, and it made him the youngest self-made millionaire in American history. Of course, the dot-com era would produce eventually self-made billionaires, I suppose. But that's sort of a quaint fact about that poster. So it's just interesting how, you know, the bottom row, in fact, we get over here, Buddy Knox with Party Doll. That was a, you know, a big record. Well, below him, you see Jimmy Bowen there and his Rhythm Orchids. Well, the Rhythm Orchids were really Buddy Knox's group, and Jimmy was closely tied to Buddy. In fact, the flip side, the only hit that Jimmy Bowen ever had was the flip side of that Party Doll record you see plugged on there. It's called I'm Stickin' With You, and it went top 20, but not much better, like number 14. And Jimmy Bowen, talk about Paul Anka being only 16, Jimmy Bowen was only 19. I mean, this was, in the 50s, this early rock and roll stuff was so teenager-driven. But what's neat about Jimmy Bowen, and he is one of those 4 guys there underneath Buddy Knox's picture. I should have researched it and pointed him out, but he's one of those 4. He quickly moved from artist to producer, and in fact he hooked up with Reprise Records in the early 60s and actually ended up producing Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., so that's quite a feather in his cap. But it got better. Jimmy Bowen then in the early 70s became a record company president in Nashville and worked with people like Hank Jr., Reba McEntire, and Garth Brooks, and he helped usher in the 80s digital recording in Nashville. So it's kind of funny, even the bottom row, look at that, the bottom row, the non-Hall of Famers or whatever, have amazing stories behind them. There's never a dull moment on this poster. And again, the thrilling thing is, if you want to find one, you don't have to look just in Topeka, Kansas. It was used across the country. There's one from Sacramento on the West Coast, and there's East Coast, and there's Southern ones, and so forth. It was used for like 3 months in the fall of '57, so it is out there. And again, I've seen, you know, a tour blank. This part was, the color was all printed ahead of time, and the top part was stripped in for each individual show. And again, I've been collecting posters and photos of posters for over 20 years, and I've seen like at least 15 different. So, and they make smaller handbills of this too. But anyway, and you know something, they make they make bigger versions of this poster. They actually make 22 by 28 jumbo versions as well for various cities. But this is the standard in-between size. And what can you say, you know? Biggest Show of Stars, Fall 1957 edition with 12 killer artists, 9 of them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's just an awesome poster and an awesome piece. It's just wonderful fun. You know, that's why we collect, right? For fun. Wonderful fun here. And it's so fun to play these records and look at the poster and know that it once was used to sell tickets and was not made for any other purpose. So, whew, boy, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm going to have to take a breather, maybe have lunch, because nothing can top this, a Biggest Show of Stars from Fall of '57. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for enjoying along with me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hi, it's me again, and you know, when you write a letter, you can put PS or even an email. So I'm going to put a PS on this video. Why not? First of all, the main thing I wanted to point out is the venue info at the top. That's really funny about tickets on sale. Notice your tickets are on sale at Walgreens drugstore. Okay, that's fine. But what's funny is that they're on sale from, it says 8 p.m. to 12, which is, I mean, we can talk about the grammar and stuff. It should say 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. unless they sold them overnight till noon the next day or something. But what that means is the tickets were on sale in the evening only at the drugstore from 8 o'clock to midnight. Probably, this was so naive and young that the drugstore proprietors and the promoters probably thought it was sort of an annoyance. They didn't want teenagers coming in all day long. So, and teenagers were in school anyway during the day, and teenagers were the one buying the tickets. So they said, okay, we'll sell the tickets only in the evening from 8 p.m. till midnight. I thought that was just really funny. So you find the neatest little things in the venue information, and Topeka, Kansas, you can be sure, is the only one of the 3 months worth of posters they made for this that actually, I imagine, the only one that sold tickets during the evening hours only. I think that's a nice touch. So anyway, end of PS. See you later, alligator.